Dinarland Talk June 12, 2017 late p.m. First up from BGG. Article quote, Mosul, IraqiNews.com, Iraqi troops took over a half of the last district held by the Islamic State near the Old City in western Mosul, an Iraqi officer was quoted saying on Sunday. I can't tell you how many calls I field in the last couple of weeks, people asking, but what about Ramadan? Everyone was worried this would be delayed over the holiday. It would appear this answers the concern they wouldn't do any fighting during Ramadan. I don't think Ramadan is an issue at all, except that in my honest opinion he wants it done then. I have a sneaky suspicion Abadi wants a Ramadan announcement of complete victory. In my honest opinion. Next up from Revbo. Today marks the 89th calendar day counting back to March 16. The CBI has not posted a market rate. Here's hoping it means something for all of us. It also marks the 5th business day they have posted no auction at all on their spreadsheet. Now from Mike. Article, Classification of banks for the purpose of entering the sale of foreign currency window. Banking reforms come first. They need to ensure Iraqi banks conform to international standards to prevent money laundering and support for terrorist organizations. Instead of prosecuting the corrupt, they're trying to staunch the flow of dollars in the auctions by limiting them to reputable banks who know their customers. Then currency reform will be implemented to support the open market economy. At KTFA. From Don 961, apparently they talked IQD at the meeting, communication in linking the Iraqi dinar to the dollar allowing a pillar of the economy. The agreement with IMF improves the credit rating of Iraq. June 13, 2017 Baghdad/Ahmad Emirate to pay off the deficit in the 2017 budget. The government requested from the IMF and other international bodies to borrow them, taking advantage of the global trend to support Iraq in the fight against terrorism. Click to set custom economic academic D. Ahmed Omar Al-Rawai said the morning. The International Monetary Fund called on Iraq to conduct a large correction processes to cut capital spending while protecting social spending and communication in linking the Iraqi dinar to the dollar allowing a pillar of the economy. He added, Iraqi economic reform, which is supported by the standby credit with the International Monetary Fund program, aims to address the needs of the balance of urgent payments and access spending to a level commensurate with the decline in world oil prices and ensure the sustainability of the debt within the tolerable. The program also includes measures to protect the poor and the strengthening of financial management, public support for the stability of the financial sector and curb corruption. The transfer of the narrator of the report by the IMF and his report by saying that Iraq is committed to the requirements of readiness external credit and should be implemented gradually, improve the fiscal adjustment and the salaries of retirees and repair of electricity and state-owned enterprises sector elements to make way for greater investment spending, but more effective and efficient to support growth. He continued, narrator, by the Executive Board of the IMF has agreed to implement readiness credit agreement signed with Iraq for a period of 3 years, a pact aimed at helping Iraq in the implementation of the economic reform program and restore fiscal balance in the long average. Rawai confirmed that the agreement with the International Monetary Fund will help to issue international financial bonds and improve Iraq's credit rating in financial institutions, and the agreement with other countries to get loans. It has authorized the general budget for the year 2017. Minister of Finance Act signed agreements with creditors already in Parliament agreed to finance the budget deficit of 7.21 trillion Iraqi dinars, equivalent to $319.18 billion. IMF Executive Board also completed a review of financing assurances under the standby credit agreement, and the Executive Board had approved its $831.3 billion rights unit to withdraw any special agreement estimated to be $34.5 billion at the date of approval. Rawai confirmed that under this consent for Iraq may be 455 units exchange special drawing rights, about $8,817 million, as the Executive Council also agreed to Iraq's request to be excused from the declaration of non-compliance with the maximum continuous external arrears and the request to amend the performance standards, as the Council approved the request to exempt Iraq from the applicability of the goals of the end of last September to 4 performance standards regarding the minimum total international reserves and the maximum net domestic assets of the Central Bank of Iraq and the maximum arrears owed to the list of international oil companies and the maximum balance of total public debt requirement. In addition to the request to amend the stages of implementation of the agreement, it was agreed to hold meetings to follow up on the standby credit between the fund and Iraq. At the last meeting in Amman between Iraq and experts of the International Monetary Fund to follow up the readiness of the trust fund noted in his closing statement that Iraq is under financial pressure as a result of growing public and security spending for continued weakness in oil prices, causing a deficit of 12% of gross domestic product, which led to a decline in financial reserves central bank of $53.7 billion in 2015 to $46.5 billion the end of the year 2016, described the fund's statement of financial reserves of the Central Bank of Iraq as the value in a comfortable position. He said the IMF said in a statement that the public debt of Iraq increased rate of 32 to 64% of GDP during the period 2014 to 2016 requires further structural reforms in the Iraqi economy, including the banking sector reform to support the growth process and to promote business and reduce environment corruption. The IMF estimated that the risks remain as a result of the uncertainty of oil prices and the lack of security, political stability, and weaknesses in aspects of management. The expected credit agreement with the International Monetary Fund to improve confidence in Iraq and get more financial aid from institutions and creditor nations, and will agree to provide additional international assistance to Iraq worth $15 billion, as well as some of the facilities, including helping Iraq to ease the burden of repayment obligations with Club Paris. At TNT. From Peggy 53, Mahdi Al-Alak praises the role of the World Bank and its contribution to important projects in Iraq by Rami. June 12, 2017. Secretary General of the Council of Ministers Mahdi Al-Alak praised the role of the World Bank and its contribution to many important and vital projects in Iraq. During his meeting with the World Bank team in Iraq headed by Luca Bandira, Al-Alak stressed that the General Secretariat of the Council of Ministers is ready to facilitate the team's tasks and support it continuously. During the meeting, the two sides discussed a series of issues of mutual interest between the Iraqi government and the World Bank, including the necessary reforms for the financial and banking sector in Iraq, in addition to setting priorities in the upcoming reform projects, management systems, social security, future plans for gas investment and production. For his part, the visiting delegation praised the support of the General Secretariat of the World Bank Group in Iraq and its interest in the important projects that it sponsors. During the meeting, discussions were discussed on a joint action plan to determine the priorities of the Iraqi government for the coming period. From Dawn 961, Abadi will raise the banner of victory soon and we will go for reconstruction. June 13, 2017, midnight Baghdad/Al-Sabah stressed Prime Minister General Commander of the Armed Forces, Dr. Haider al-Abadi said Thedream of days in the expansion ended, adding that the banner of victory will raise soon and we will go for reconstruction, construction, and stability, while vowed to prosecute organized crime and kidnapping owners, as well as the protection of citizens. Abadi said, during a meeting with a group of Heroes Band, we are determined to protect citizens and to hold accountable and prosecute the owners of organized crime, kidnapping and others provide security and freedom of citizens. Park Abadi, in a statement, the fighters' victories achieved by the heroes of the Special Division in many battles and who have made sacrifices in Makhul, Tikrit, Fallujah and other mountains after the united efforts with the army and police forces and the federal anti-terrorism and the crowd popular and the Peshmerga and the tribes in achieving these victories. Prime Minister, who noted that not one of the leaders of the world was a dream that is achieved victory over days so quickly, pointed out that disperse led to the entry days and unity led to the victories and liberating the land, noting that there was a great cohesion between the citizen and his forces' security thanks to the fatwa of Jihad ul-Kifaya to Sayyid Ali Sistani. Abadi said that soon will raise the banner of victory and heading for the reconstruction and construction and stability after Iraq has become a graveyard for Daesh and ended their dream of lying down. From Rayren 98 from the Weekend Update, Iraqi television showed troops celebrating privately, and there should be public celebrations today. Military leaders are claiming there are only 2 miles left for Mosul to be fully liberated. Today there are 1.5 districts left, supposedly, with a total of 1,000 terrorists in the old city. These were supposedly end-of-war celebrations. The military is preparing for the last stand fight at the mosque, with 750 ISIL and 250 foreign fighters hunkered down. It's the final stage, and Iraq is still calling for national reconciliation,